What if I told you that I'm going to be giving away my entire trading strategy completely for free? No $2,000 course, no mentorship, no paywalls. It's going to be the exact playbook that I've used over the past couple of years to make a couple hundred grand in the stock market. And it's going to be what's going to make me a couple $1 million over the next couple of years. So if you're serious about making money in the stock market, do not skip a second of this video. Hello, everybody. I am back. I know I took a bit of time off there from my last video. I was trying to get into content, and then now I'm finally getting back into it. Definitely went through some changes. As you guys can see, I'm in a completely brand new apartment. From where I left off in my last video, I took a few different positions in the market. Weirdly enough, all of those positions went up about 20%, and I somehow still lost money on them. And I took a few weeks off of trading. The market was bad at the beginning of this year. And then over the last couple of weeks, the market, or actually really over the last month, the market heated up, but I didn't start trading until over the past couple of weeks. And I'm up about 15 grand over the last 2 weeks or so. So pretty good start on my comeback. I've been really focused. But as I mentioned at the start of this video, I'm putting together a crash course, or basically a complete, course for this trading system I've been talking about online. And as I've mentioned, I've made a couple hundred grand trading this strategy. I've only been trading this strategy for around 2 years now, and it's changed my life completely. So this crash course, it's going to be probably a handful, like 6 or 7 different videos. And I'm going to go over each kind of component in the strategy. This first video, I'm going to go over the chart setup and all the tools you kind of need to trade the system effectively. And in the next video, I'll go over the entire strategy itself, the patterns, the concepts, and then I'll dive in as the episodes go on into more detailed topics like entries, risk management, that sort of thing. But like I said, this first video is just going to be kind of an overview of, I guess, who I am and the tools I use to trade the strategy. So let's go right into that. My name is Kevin. I've been trading the stock market for probably, I would say, like 10 years now. Probably before it was actually legal for me to trade the stock market. But I didn't come across this strategy until about 2.5 years ago. And it took a lot of time to find that strategy. It took a lot of time to understand the strategy. But it really is a simple strategy. I started how most people start. I started day trading, and I started doing those momentum day trading stocks with Warrior Trading, or whoever that, I think that is his name. So ultimately I came across this strategy, and like I said, this strategy has changed my life. It's super simple, and really the core concept behind it is find the fastest moving, strongest stocks in the strongest sectors that are leading the market in whatever cycle we're in, and find entries in them and ride them to the top. And then when the cycle shifts, position yourself accordingly. And it's just this ever changing, it's just this non-stop flowing, constantly positioning yourself in the best stocks, or, sitting cash. One thing I'll say about this strategy, I know people that work for hedge funds, and I've explained to them my strategy and the tools and the indicators I use. And I know for a fact that in hedge funds, the traders that are the ones making trading the positions in hedge funds, there is a specific few of them that trade entirely similar to this system, this exact strategy. So for those of you guys that are like, oh, it doesn't work, nobody can make 100% a year, nobody can make 500% a year, that is unfortunately not true. And fortunately for me, it is true. The reason hedge funds can't make 100%, 200% a year is because they're managing $5 billion, $10 billion. Us, we're going to cap out at $10 million, $20 million accounts trading this system. You can't manage $5 billion trading this system. So this is real. Hedge funds basically allocate, $100 million to a system like this, or whatever. Basically, the moral of the story is this is real. And if you want to make some serious money over the next couple of years, pay attention. But all right, diving into episode 1, chart setup and kind of the tools I use. I personally have always grown up on Schwab or Thinkorswim. The platform you're looking at right now, this is called TC2000. I'm actually testing it out. I'm testing it out right now because it's kind of a higher speed, um, higher capability version of Thinkorswim, if you will. Unfortunately, it's only charting. You can't place trades through it, so you can only chart through it and run scans through it. Um, and Thinkorswim, I still place my trades through there. I still have like a full setup on Thinkorswim, exactly like this setup you see here. Everything you're going to see in this video is applicable to Thinkorswim with all the custom tools I built. TC2000 just allows the custom tools to be a lot more easily managed. There's no code involved really, which is cool. But all the links to everything will be in the description. So that's going to be my Discord community. I'm kind of trying to build a community around this strategy where I'm posting my weekly watch list. I'm posting my entries and exits for the exact positions I'm taking relating to this strategy. And I'll help people out if anyone has any questions on how to actually trade the strategy. I'll have access to my tools in there. I'll get some TC2000 links so you guys can sign up if you want. It is a monthly subscription, so it's not free like Thinkorswim. But it's a pretty capable charting platform, a little confusing for new people, but Thinkorswim can also be confusing. So choose whichever one you like. I still like them both. But like I said, testing this one out. And yeah, so we'll just dive into the actual chart setup and how I kind of operate, because I have a pretty good flow going on here. So firstly, like I said, it says paper practice. This is not a live trading platform. It's just a charting platform. The way I like to have my overall setup, my workspace setup be is, firstly in TC2000, I got my scanners up here. I have my 6-month gainers, 3-month gainers, 1-month gainers. I'll go over these in a future video, but that is how I basically find the top 1 to 2% of stocks, the strongest stocks in the market. And I go through those and then I figure out which ones are the leaders and which ones have good setups, etc. But later video. So that's where my scanners are. And then here I'll usually have my focus watch list. I don't have it up right now. But that's where my focus watch list will go. So where I move after scanning the stocks I like into there. And then as this chart right here, you can see is the daily time frame chart. So this is basically the chart where I choose my setups and where I visualize ranges, which will make more sense to you in a later video. And then this chart here is the intraday time frame chart. So this is where I'm taking my entries, and I'm also able to kind of visualize ranges a little bit easier, right? But you can see some of the indicators I have on the daily time frame chart and the intraday time frame chart. So I only use moving averages actually on the chart. So for the daily time frame, I'm using simple moving averages. I will use the 10-day, the 20-day, the 50-day, and the 200-day moving averages. Like I said, in a later video, I'll really explain them in depth about why and what I'm looking for. But I use the simple moving average for the daily time frame, and then for the intraday time frame, I'm going to use the 10-day exponential moving average, the 20-day exponential moving average, and the 65-day exponential moving average. Why I'm using exponential on the intraday time frame versus the simple on the daily. Exponential moving averages calculate their average by giving the most weight to the most recent candlestick. And when you're in the intraday time frame, it's my belief that that kind of quicker reaction time to the most recent price action is the most valuable. So, and it's just kind of a known thing by professional traders that, on the intraday time frame, if you're using a moving average, you use the exponential. Moving further, we have our volume indicator here on the bottom. Again, like I said, this is the exact same setup as my Thinkorswim setup. I have the simple moving averages, and then I just have volume right below it with an exponential moving average. Why I use the exponential moving average, kind of the same thing. It gives the most weight to the most recent day. So I want the most recent day's volume to have the most effect on the average, because I'm looking for that real-time information when it comes to sentiment and volume is a pretty good indicator of sentiment. Are people accumulating shares or not? But that's the next indicator I use. And then down here, you'll see I have my risk calculator. So again, all the same custom tools I've built that are available for thinkorswim on my website. This here just calculates my risk. I'll go a bit more in depth into that in a later video, but basically it just takes my entry price, subtracts it from the low of the day. That's my risk. And it takes whatever my personal risk is, so 1% of my account, 0.5% of my account, and that's a number you can edit in there. And I'll show you how to do that in a later video, but divides that by my risk per share, and that gives me the number of shares I can buy, and that's this number here that you see. And then lastly, we have ADR percentage, which is one of the biggest and most important numbers when it comes to this system, because we don't like trading stocks like, Bank of America or Boeing, right? 2.88% ADR chops around all day. We want stocks like this one that just rocket, right? And have the potential to make multi-100% moves over a short period of time. Yeah, but that's the chart setup. I'll talk real quick about brokerages. I personally use Schwab. Schwab's just something I've always used, free like $0 trade commission on shares. And I'm just very comfortable with it. You can use any brokerage you want. I'll throw my referral link down below if you want to support me and use Schwab. But you can use any brokerage. I recommend Schwab just because I'm so familiar with it, and that's how you get access to thinkorswim. So if you are going to use thinkorswim, you have to use Schwab. But I know a lot of people like to use Webull now because they got low margin cost, and I use margin quite a lot in my trading strategy. But yeah, you basically, if you have at least, I think they just changed the PDT rule, but if you have at least $25,000 in the old days, I think now it's like $2,000, but I would open up a margin account rather than a cash account. If you have less than the PDT rule, if you have less than the PDT rule, then you need to open up a cash account because you're going to run into trouble there. And you can Google that as to why, because you'll just run out of day trades on a margin account. But I would really recommend this strategy that you'd only trade with a minimum of like 10 grand, because you're not going to change your life for anything trading with less. If you want to practice, I wouldn't even use real money. I would just paper trade it. And once you get comfortable, I would recommend using like 10 grand, and then you're just depositing into it every single month. I personally trade with a 6-figure account, and I'm just going to grow it. I'll just, at some point, trade with a multi-million-dollar account. I mean, that pretty much wraps up this video. There's really not much to it. Simple moving averages. I can touch on a few setups here just to kind of give you an idea of why we're using the simple moving averages. Which one? I'm in this one right now. So you can see here, we're looking for a stock to push, pull back to the moving averages, surf them, building higher lows, lower highs, and kind of build out a range here, right? You have this range here. Let me delete my drawings. Right, build up this range, take entries, right? I entered off this range here, and I'm in it right now. Stops are at break even. I think I'm up something like 20 something percent on it. That's the premise of the strategy. But yeah, that kind of wraps up this video. It's a quick one. Once we get into like future videos and it gets more nitpicky and more detailed, the videos will be longer. But let me know if you have any questions. If in future videos, you get confused and you're not sure how to really trade the strategy, feel free to join the Discord. It's only going to be $100 a month, which you can make back in literally one trade with a $1,000 account. So it's very cheap for the value you're going to be getting. And feel free to ask me any questions. In the Discord, I'll be doing one-on-ones with people. So if you really want that extra help, it'll be a big push, and I'll really do my best to help everybody out. And even in the comments, feel free to comment on the YouTube video. I'm happy to help anybody that has any questions. But the next episode, I will probably be pushing out the strategy overview episode, going a little more into the setups, why they work, and kind of the concept behind the entire system itself. But I'll try to push these course videos out as soon as possible so that you guys can, watch them a few times and have the full picture so that all the videos are out, and be able to really study while we're in a good market right now. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.